And this is the agent. This is Taylor Steenbergen. We in the building, man. Those guys, the podcast. All right, let's do it. Oh, you got us so disappointed. She's trying to go after Trump's livelihood. This is why I love this podcast. Because I wasn't even thinking about that. This is why I love this podcast. It just goes to show you that her records were ruined. Man, this is the agent. This is Taylor Steenbergen. This is why I think Those Guys is a great show, because you get in two different perspectives. I swear I never thought of it that. Yeah. This is why I love this podcast. As a Kings fan, I think he brings a lot of negativity to the team. Man, Those Guys, the podcast. What the Pelicans? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I appreciate fans that speak up. This is why I love this podcast. The way that lady handled it was like ridiculous. Man, Those Guys, the podcast. Here we go again.
Another episode.
Those Guys, the podcast. I try to sound like the song.
So tonight we're bringing you a special episode that means a lot to me and Haj over here. This might be a little bit rough for us to talk about, but infertility, the struggles we both have with it, our wives. We're going to tell you about it tonight, and hopefully people hear it, and hopefully, especially if you're listening and your husband and you have been through it, make sure he watches this too.
It can help.
Or your wife. Help. Or your wife, either way.
Okay, so I'm going to jump right into my story. So this was about 8 years ago. I guess my wife clock was ticking or something, so she was just gung-ho about having a baby. And I was game for it, but I didn't know, I wasn't that gung-ho about it. I just felt like, okay, well, she wants a baby, let's have a baby. And I felt like it was going to be easy. We've been practicing for a long time, so hey, so we started going at it, and nothing happened. And then nothing happened. And then nothing happened again. So she got concerned. Like I said, her clock was ticking. She just felt like she had to do it right now. So we went to the fertility clinic, and they were like, well, let's run a few tests. We're gonna test your sperm. We're gonna test her inside, whatever the eggs, whatever it was that they tested. And so I came back with the sperm. They was like, okay, yeah, you eat some sunflower seeds, drink this, do that, wear loose underwear, keep the what was it called? The motility?
Motility.
Keep the motility going, right? So I was like, okay, I could do that. And it was a little weird, the go deliver your sperm and to talk about, but I felt like it was for her.
Yeah.
So I was willing to do it. So we went back, and they were like, they shot some fluid through her tubes.
Yeah, fallopian tubes.
Yes.
Clean them out a little bit.
They clean them out.
Like the ultrasound, I think.
Yeah, and so before I skipped some parts, I'm sorry. We while we were trying the first time, she actually got pregnant, and me not knowing how hard it is to have a baby and to keep up for the baby to cook inside the stomach. I went and told everybody.
Yeah.
I'm telling my mom, my granny, my partners, anybody listen, oh boy, she's pregnant. Because we were really going at it for like a couple of months.
You thought this was it.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, we did it.
Yeah.
And like maybe a couple of days later, she's crying in the bathroom. I'm like, what's wrong? She was like, I had a miscarriage. And I'm like, I've never dealt with a miscarriage, so I'm not understanding. I'm thinking like, okay, well, we could just have another one.
Yeah.
But she already had connected with being pregnant. And then so it was like, I felt bad that she felt bad, but I didn't have that same connection with the baby that she had just had in her stomach, if that makes sense. And so I sat there and I talked to her, and she cried and cried and cried and cried. And then she kept not being pregnant, which made it worse. And she kept thinking about the miscarriage.
Because then you don't know if you are ever going to be able to have a kid.
And then we had 2 abortions before that. like when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "Oh, is it God punishing me for the abortions?" And it was just a lot. And all I could do was beat her. And I mean, when she explained it to me, I was sad too. But men deal with sadness different. And so my first option is not to cry.
Yeah.
It's to kind of reflect and see how I can get us out of this jam.
Yeah.
And so
fix it. How do you fix it?
How do I fix it? Not sit down and reflect on it. That's just not what I do as a man. But I'm trying to be sympathetic to her feelings and still try to figure out what do we do next. So then that's how we got to the fertility clinic. They shot the stuff through her tubes or whatever, and we were making progress. It felt like what their plan gave her hope that everything would be all right. And they told us that if worst came to worst, they would take my sperm and take her eggs and put them together and inject it back into her.
In vitro.
That was the plan. Yeah. And this was not cheap. Mind you, the fertility clinic,
$20K.
We didn't have a job.
Yeah, $20K.
She had just got laid off her job, and I wasn't working.
$20K.
Yeah. So we I was doing the music, but the music is up and down, hot and cold.
Which is crazy. That brings up another issue. Insurance doesn't cover in vitro
or
a lot of fertility things.
Yeah. So we're going back and forth, and we're running up a tab. So I'm thinking, I don't want to stress her out, but I'm looking at the bank account like, okay now, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm trying to be sympathetic, but okay now, like. So we went the last time we went. They told us the option of taking my sperm and her eggs and injecting them. And so they were going to, I forgot what they were going to do. That was our next appointment. And we went home, and of course she would see if her temperature right, and see if she was ovulating. I was like a machine. At first it was fun. You think you're like, oh yeah, we just gonna get to it. It's gonna be you, right? Yeah, no problems. After a while, you start to feel like a machine.
Yeah.
Feel like it's like a job. You like
takes the spontaneous
it
part
takes
out
it away. You don't even enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
So that pressure is something that she didn't know I was going through. She just like wake up and perform.
Yeah. And
it's like, okay now, like it don't work like that. Like, like do something, but it was stressful on both parts, and I don't think she understood my stress level. So we went home, we got it in a few times, and then by our next appointment, we went back. She was pregnant, so we didn't have to get the in vitro, and we had my son, and I didn't tell anybody that she was pregnant with Hassan for the first 5 months because I didn't want to have to untell everybody I told, just in case it was a miscarriage situation again.
Yeah.
But it all worked out, and we had my son, and then went on to have my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my situation would have been very different if he wasn't giving me advice, because he was one of the first people I told that that we were pregnant the first time. So Tiffany, my wife, got off birth control like the next month she was pregnant. Month and a half. I don't know the exact weeks. She can tell you all that, but so I come to work.
Shout out to Amber. We see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the comment. We appreciate it.
So I'm excited. I come to work. I tell him, and he's like, "Hey, first thing, don't tell anybody for a little bit. Wait, feel things out. Don't say anything. I mean, you can tell family, but don't tell everybody, because it's going to be hard if this happens." Well, the first time she had a miscarriage, and it was the same for me. Like, I didn't really know what she was going through, and I wasn't attached to the baby.
Yeah.
I didn't have it in my stomach. I wasn't. My thoughts weren't at the same place. Like, I wasn't attached. Like, for me, I don't get attached until like I feel the baby move. I feel the baby move. Tiffany's pregnant again right now. I feel the baby move, and I feel instantly like way more attached. But in that first like 10, 12, 15, 16 weeks, like, it doesn't feel real to me because it's nothing. I can't feel anything.
Yeah.
I don't. Nothing's different about me. I'm still Taylor. I don't have any hormonal differences. Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't have that attachment. So, miscarriage number one. Of course, we're upset. We find out in the ER. We're both crying. We go home. We get through it. I feel like, we get through it. It's the first one where, of course, she's torn up, and I'm having a hard time understanding that. Okay, so we figure out everything's fine. We try to have another one. Miscarriage happens again. This time we're like, is it genetic? What's the issue? So her doctor sends us to the fertility clinic, which they're gonna do some basic tests that are covered and make sure everything's okay genetically. Everything was cool genetically. However, they do send you to in vitro, and you make an appointment with them, and they tell you, this could be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 by the time you're done. And that to me is just like, whew. So we keep trying naturally. They put her on some meds that make her produce more eggs, and miscarriage number 3. And by now it's like, we feel like we've been through the ringer. I'm emotionally falling apart now because like, I always wanted to have kids. That was always my goal.
Yeah.
Like that was one of my top goals.
Yeah.
I wanted to have kids. Who does? I mean, like I say, who doesn't want to have kids? But I wanted to have kids, and now we're having miscarriage number 3, and we don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you start running through all the options: in vitro, surrogate, everything, and like surrogate wasn't going to work for us. Adoption was going to be the next thing, but anyway. So after miscarriage number 3, we go to in vitro, and they tell us all this. We start we keep trying to have natural because the doctor tells us like, hey, look, you're better. Your odds are better if you just keep trying.
Yeah.
Which, having somebody tell you that is one thing, but trying to process it is like,
when you're on your 3rd one, it starts to sound like we're
you feel like
you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
No.
There's no way you can.
No. And I think one of the things that made it harder for us was we weren't open about it with our family. We weren't open about it with people that we trusted. We just kept it to ourselves. And then after miscarriage number 2, we finally brought it up to our family and everything. And it was like, we try to hold everything in.
You can't do that.
And it was like, we only kept it between us. I would talk to him. She wouldn't talk to anybody. And I was just trying to get her to talk to somebody.
You have to talk to somebody because it creates friction with you and your partner.
Yeah. Because
you're holding so much in and she's holding so much in. It's like when you get together, it's an explosion of emotions. You know what I'm talking about? It's. I remember having conversations with you, and we still have these conversations. Like, so I'll go through something, and I'll hit him, and he'll give me. And this is the kind of friend that you need. You need a friend that'll tell you, bro, you're wrong. Like, nah. And I go back and be like, you know what? Hey, I apologize. Maybe I was hollering. My voice didn't carry. You know what I mean? But I have this conversation with him, and he's my voice of reasoning, because I'm going to see it through my eyes, and my eyes aren't always right.
Yeah, and it's mutual, and that's why he was just telling me to be there for her, giving me advice best I could. But so now we're on miscarriage number 3, and we don't know if we can have kids. And Tiffany's mom's been through the same thing, and I've had 3 other family members on my side that have had miscarriages, some multiple. And so we're just like, of course, we're just like torn up. We're talking to our family about it. We're hysterically every night having an issue. And not to mention that, we're at each other's throat, not blaming each other, but just we're emotionally spent. So anything extra that we get into, it just kaboom. It creates a whole nother relationship problem. And we're better now because of it. We went through, hit rock bottom, and now we're back up. And we're on our 2nd kid. And so, there is hope. But anyway, so miscarriage number 4. This time, it didn't happen naturally. She had to have a procedure done where they went in and actually cleared everything out. And that was like the rock bottom. That was our rock bottom. She had to have a procedure. She was in pain. It was just horrible. It was horrible. I've never wished it on anybody. It was horrible physically, emotionally, everything. But anyways, no words can describe it, and it's hard for me to even talk about it. But after miscarriage number 4, everything was cleared out, and we tried again. And the next time that she got pregnant was when we just had Tasia. That was that pregnancy, and getting through weeks 12 of the pregnancy, weeks 20, seeing the baby's heartbeat, it was just like we were on cloud 9 because we were finally accomplishing all these things. But at the same time, it's almost like you can't even enjoy it because you're emotionally trying to hold yourself back from celebrating too soon.
Definitely.
And so it was like we didn't tell anybody, I think, till like 4.5 months. And it was like, then people were like, why didn't you tell us? And it's like, it's not personal. It's just, we didn't want to have to go back and tell everybody at work, everybody over here, everybody over there that, now we have another miscarriage. It's like, it's hard.
Having these struggles make me feel like I'm careful about what I say around people who don't have kids. I don't know why they don't have kids. And so I had someone say something around the time that you were going through what you were going through, and they made a comment like having a baby was easy or something. And I'm thinking like, wow, like you just don't know. It's not easy for everybody.
And you can tell when people haven't had issues because they think it's easy.
Yeah,
Everybody
it didn't work like that. It didn't work. It doesn't work like that for everybody.
But people don't talk about it, and so that's why it makes it seem like that was frustrating for me. It's like when you start to talk to people about it, you start to realize there's a pattern here. Yeah. Now I've heard of more people than not that have had issues. Yeah, and it's just like it makes you feel better. It makes you feel normal. Yeah, you feel normal. You feel normal. I didn't have anybody to talk me through what we were going through. So it was all new to me, and I just dealt with it. I remember when you said you had just said something about you feeling not being able to celebrate it when she finally did get pregnant. I felt like that until I actually saw my son. Yeah. Like she had a connection with this baby because she carried him for 9 months. Yeah. I was there. I felt the heartbeat. I saw the ultrasound. I'm here. I'm touching him. I'm talking to him through her stomach. But the kid, I actually had to see him and hold him, and kiss him to be like, wow, this is mine. Yeah. Her connection was from when she found out she was pregnant and she could feel him moving. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that until afterwards. And I don't feel like I was wrong for that. I just feel like everybody's different. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we want to talk about it for, is we want to give the man side of it. You know, we can only give the side of it that we went through. We can see what our wives went through. We can see what other people have been through. But we can only tell you what we've been through and how we've been affected. And I think that's what, if you and your husband or anybody that you know is going through this, make sure that the husband is going through something completely different on his own. You know, he's going through a struggle that he probably is having a hard time opening up about. Yeah, definitely. And men are just wired different. Like a lot of us are not emotional, and so we're not just going to belt out crying and fall down crying. So just don't take us not being crying or being emotional as we don't care. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was our biggest issue. She felt like I just didn't care, and it wasn't that. It's just that I handle my emotions different. Yeah. You probably bottled it up a little bit. She probably saw me cry twice, and we've been together for since 2000. And that just goes to show you the difference, because I remember like I would hold it in. Yeah. And like I would talk to you about it, and I would vent there, but it was like I was holding my emotions back from her. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that didn't do us any justice. No, that didn't. And like there'd be times like where she would just feel like I'm so unattached, and I was, because it wasn't because of her. It was just because I was trying to protect her from myself. That's a man defense. Yeah. You kind of detach from what's going on and try to figure out like, okay, what other options do we have? Mm-hmm. And it's not to talk about it first. Yes, communication is the key to everything, though. Yeah. But I mean, my mental health during that time was not well, and neither was hers. And I mean, I just think talk about it. Talk about it to anybody that you can. Talk about it. Get your story out there. If you talk to another female about it, you're gonna make her feel better. Yeah. You're gonna make everybody else around you feel better. I know the people that came to me and talked to me about it after they knew about my story, it just made me feel so much better. It's like you have this support group. Get you a support system. If you're going through this, first thing you should do is get you a support system, and get around people who love you, who are going to give you well wishes and good vibes, and talk to them about it. And you never know who's went through it as well, and they can give you some advice. This brought us closer. I think this was our first like real experience. Yeah. Like okay, this is because I just know him from what we was doing. He just know me from what we was doing, and so I joke a lot. And you just off surface, you probably like, this kid doesn't have a real a serious bone in his body. Yeah. And then I think we were just walking or something, and the topic, and he just, I think I asked him like, "What's wrong, bro? You all right?" And he kind of broke down, and then I just gave him the best advice I had. And the more that we just talked, we just
became closer friends. And so I had issues. He's not the kind of guy who just dumps all this trash on you. He also was like, man, how are you doing? And so I would throw stuff his way, and he would give me the best advice he got. And you need friends like this.
Yeah.
You need friends, not one-sided friends, but friends who you can depend on, and they'll lend you their ear, and then come back and you give them your ear, and y'all push each other up and elevate each other.
Exactly.
If you don't got them kind of friends, cancel Christmas, be by yourself.
But I mean, one thing that comes to my attention that was made it harder for us was people not being considerate to us when they didn't understand what we were going through. So I mean, they might not have known, but if you are talking about the subject, if you are pregnant and you haven't had any issues, don't rub it in people's faces. You know, don't go above and beyond. Just stay to yourself. You can celebrate, be happy, of course, but don't rub it in people's faces.
Don't.
And I know I had an instance where I was like 19 years old, and some girl at work just had a miscarriage, and she comes to work all upset, and I'm like, why are you so upset? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm prodding and I'm digging, and it's like, and I'm making jokes and stuff, and to her it's not funny.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like a 19-year-old, never had
Yeah.
these type of issues, never had this experience, and I'm like trying to joke her out of it, and it's not funny to her.
It's not funny to her.
And at the time, she snapped at me, and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, after witnessing what my wife went through, what we went through, it's
people take being able to have a child for granted. You think you're young and you have a lot of sex, and people pop up pregnant, and you get abortions, and you figure, because you're not trying. You know what I mean? So you never really realize that out of the however many times I had sex, she only got pregnant this time and this time.
Yeah. The numbers are small.
The numbers are small. But when you're trying,
yeah,
you realize, like, wow, what's going on?
I feel like it's because you put stress on yourself.
Yeah, I believe so.
You put all this pressure on yourself, and then your anxiety and everything is up both sides.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just the female. And then so it just makes it sometimes not a fun situation.
I'm gonna say this, and I mean, since we having this discussion, let's really talk about it. So you have nights when we had nights when we weren't trying to have a kid, and you just felt like your inner porn star was there. You're just like, oh, I'm amazing tonight. Like, it's feeling so great, and y'all having fun.
The passion's there.
Yeah, and then when you get done, it's like, wow, that was God. I didn't know all that was in here. But then when you're trying, it's kind of like it's boring.
Yeah.
When you get done, it's kind of like you surprised if any came out. Like when you're done,
it's by the book.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what to do to make the trying a little more pleasurable for the men.
Yeah.
Are passionate with each other, but that would have helped me out, because it felt like she was like, okay, I'm ready, and I'm thinking like,
yeah, it's like a clock.
I'm like,
it's like going to a job.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that like,
yeah.
The first, no lie, the first 3 days or 4 days of that, like, okay, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And then on week 3, and then month 2, and month 3, you like,
yeah,
like it sucks, but the communication would have helped.
Yeah.
If maybe I didn't communicate that to her, so maybe she just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, just goes to show you the different sides of the story. Different people go through different things at different times, and I think just as a woman or as a man, try to understand what your partner's going through.
See, Mark just said, stop trying so hard, have fun. But see, it's hard to have fun when you just had a miscarriage and she's crying all the time, and then there's a ton of pressure on you.
And while you're still trying to have a kid.
Yeah. So it's hard to just have fun when it's like, okay, she just got through crying 45 minutes ago. You're in there, she's on the toilet crying, and you petting her back, talking about it's gonna be all right, it's gonna work out, and then you don't even know if this is the truth. You're just telling her this, and then you have to fight off tears because you don't want to cry around her, and you're kind of sad, but you don't know how to show it. And then you go back in the living room, you make your peanut butter jelly sandwich, and then 5 minutes later she's talking about, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh?
Yeah. Hey, this is what Amber said. just so you know, it's not fun. It feels like a chore for the woman too, not fun. I mean, and this is why we like to do these, because we get two sides of the story, and we have constantly tried to get both sides of the story. So if you're watching the podcast at any time and you feel like, hey, we're just speaking for the men, speak for the women then. I mean, that's what we want. And and thank you for saying that, Amber. I mean, it does feel like a chore on both sides, I'm sure.
You know what? I thought it was. I felt like it felt like a chore for her, because I'm sitting there going to work, and it probably wasn't great work because I'm not too into it. But I'm looking like, this ain't even cool. She don't even want to do it, and that make you not want to do it. Like, you know what I mean?
And then that on top of the emotional issues,
it's
just like,
it was just a hard time overall.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, knowing that, I'm more sympathetic of people who have these issues as well. So if I'm not anywhere like, oh, why you don't have any kids, or oh, it was my second daughter came so quick, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it struggles. It struggles.
It is, and that's why we want to share this. This is from a man's point of view, and we're only speaking for our wives. But you know, if you are having this issue, reach out and talk to somebody. You have to reach out and talk to somebody else. And I was trying to force my wife to reach out and talk to somebody else, and it doesn't happen like that. They have to be ready as well. But reach out and talk to somebody. I mean, even if you have been through this years ago and you still hold on to these issues, and it's still, reach out and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You never know who's been through the same thing you've been through. It doesn't have to be miscarriage. It can be anything. It could be a death in the family. It doesn't matter. Reach out and talk to somebody.
And too, even if no one has had the experiences that you've had, just being able to vent to somebody is good.
Yeah.
Because like you get it off, vent to your friend. You come home and you don't gotta explode at your partner.
Yeah.
It's the conversation. You kind of had it with your friend. You heard it. He talked you off the ledge, and then you can come home and have a reasonable, rational conversation with your partner. It's not an explosion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of got your thoughts together now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can talk it out before you come home and actually talk it out and say irrational things.
It's an explosion of emotions. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, on that note, though, we're gonna cheers to that. I have one kid on the way and one kid here, and this man's got two kids. So it does happen. You will get through the struggles. Even if you don't end up having kids, there's other options for you.
Yeah.
And I know people that have adopted kids and they still have that same love for them.
I'm gonna say this. My mother passed away when I was 4. My stepmother is my mom. This is the only mom that I know, and this lady loves me to death.
I would have thought she was your mom.
That's just my mother. She loves me to death. I did not sit 9 months in her stomach, but no one could tell you that.
Yeah.
No one would know by the way that this lady loves me. So if you have to go to other options, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
If you want to be a parent, you can still be a parent. Definitely. It's a kid somewhere that needs your love.
There it is.
Yeah.
So another episode of those guys. I hope that you guys like and share this, so other people can get some benefit out of it. There is a national infertility awareness week, and we're gonna do something on it next year. I think it's during May. I'm sorry, it's April. So we're gonna do something for it next year. But this is something that we just
read that comment for me.
It hit home for us.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Read that last comment for me.
I say that God waits for perfection. That is what I got. T-Baby was worth. T-Baby Tiffany was worth the wait, and she is perfect. And that's Tiffany's mom, and she has been through the same things that we've been talking about. So shout out to her. Thank you for commenting. Thank you guys all for liking.
I just want to say this. So I didn't jump on Mark. We appreciate all comments. Mark said he came into the story. He came into the conversation late. He didn't know. He didn't miss the main subject.
Always a little late, Mark.
Mark wasn't being insensitive to the situation.
Yeah.
He just came into this conversation late. And even if somebody really just did feel like that, don't voice it. It's okay. We're not judging you. We're going to talk about it. And
we hope that you hear it and maybe it changes your
mind. Good conversation is great conversation, man. And I feel like I'm a walking contradiction. You might say something that changes my mind. Mm-hmm. So I'm not opposed to you speaking your mind. If you feel like, okay, well, you know what? I'm on the whole opposite side of what you're talking about. Come in.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it. And you know what? You can change my mind. Because I'm going to listen to you.
Maybe we change your mind a little bit today.
Who knows?
Oh.
I just hope that anybody who has went through something, tell your story because somebody needs to hear it. Anybody who's going through something, tell your story because somebody needs to hear it.
Somebody needs to hear it.
And you need to get it out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
On that note, let's close it out.
Cheers. Oh, the contest is still going on. Share this, like this, and comment and tell us you shared it and liked it to win the gift card for next week.
Share, comment, like.
I'm going to share it and like it.
So, he wants the gift card as well.
I drink coffee. I like caramel frappuccinos.
Don't be greedy.
I like caramel frappuccinos. Look, you can tell by my chest, I like caramel frappuccinos.
All right. See you guys next week.
We out of here.